A database breach occurs when a malicious actor exploits specific vulnerabilities in how a system manages and stores its information assets. Defending these assets requires an overlapping methodology of processes, tools, and best practices tailored to the unique requirements of the environment. This creates a constant tension. A database is a centralized repository that must remain open for queries and updates to be useful, making it an inherent target for exploitation. Because every organization utilizes information differently, these security measures must adapt to the specific operational needs of the infrastructure. The goal is an architecture that filters and verifies every request, maintaining the integrity of the data while ensuring the business can continue to function. This architecture must address three primary threat vectors: unauthorized usage, unauthorized intrusion, and unauthorized attacks. Unauthorized usage involves knowing access to a system without proper permission. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986 classifies this specific action as a prohibited criminal offense. Unauthorized intrusion occurs when an external party physically or digitally breaks into the system infrastructure to gain a foothold. Unauthorized attacks aim to cause operational damage. A successful attack can disable, disrupt, or destroy system access, or it may result in the alteration, blocking, deletion, manipulation, or theft of data. Preventing these outcomes requires mapping specific security controls to every structural vulnerability in the network. These specific attack outcomes provide the baseline requirements for building a layered, defense-in-depth architecture. The first layer is physical security. Digital locks only work if hardware is unreachable. Database servers require restricted access and monitoring to prevent tampering. Next, we implement architectural separation. Isolating the public web server from the backend database server creates a critical air gap. This separation forces attackers to navigate multiple hurdles, reducing the surface area exposed to external exploits. Security Information and Event Management, or SIEM, monitors the traffic between these separated zones. SIEM gives security professionals the visibility needed to detect and respond to attempted intrusions within the infrastructure in real time. If the physical and architectural foundation is compromised, the software-based locks applied in higher layers become significantly easier to bypass. The next layer governs the network pathways, controlling how data travels between the user and the repository. A proxy server sits in the data pathway, intercepting requests to ensure no external user communicates directly with the database. This intermediate step is vital when handling sensitive personal or financial information that requires an extra layer of filtration. By routing this traffic through the proxy with HTTPS, the system encrypts the data in transit, making it unreadable to anyone monitoring the network. Security must also extend to individual endpoints, as attackers often target employee workstations to bypass main network perimeters. Antivirus software provides the basic defensive measure required for every device that connects to the corporate network. To close known security gaps, IT teams must maintain a rigorous schedule for patching the operating system, the database management software, and all third-party applications. Securing traffic pathways and endpoints ensures threats are mitigated long before reaching the database destination. The model now addresses the protocols for authenticating every individual attempting to access the data. Knowledge-based factors, like standard passwords or security questions, are inherently weak. They are susceptible to theft, social engineering, and brute force attacks. Identity and Access Management, or IAM, mitigates this by enforcing long, complex passwords that users must change on a frequent, automated schedule. We further strengthen this gate with multi-factor authentication, requiring a second, independent form of proof to verify identity. Once authenticated, users operate under the principle of least privilege, where assigned security roles limit them only to the specific data needed for their tasks. For active protection, we implement User and Event Behavioral Analytics, or UEBA, to monitor how these accounts interact with the system. Automated rule-based alerts identify anomalies, like a midnight login from an unusual location, enabling a response time that manual log reviews cannot achieve. Because stolen credentials remain a primary cause of system breaches, active behavioral monitoring is a requirement for every authorized account. We arrive at the innermost core of the architecture, the data at rest within the system. If perimeter and access controls fail, data at rest encryption ensures that the stored files remain scrambled and unusable to an intruder. We must also prepare for attacks designed to block access, such as ransomware, which encrypts organizational files and demands payment for their release. Rigorous off-site backup and recovery processes serve as the final defensive measure against such an event. By maintaining isolated backups, an organization can restore its database and neutralize the threat of data deletion or ransomware blocking without complying with attacker demands. These recovery protocols ensure that the organization can maintain its data availability and persist even if the primary environment is compromised. When combined, these physical, network, user, and data layers form a cohesive defense-in-depth model. Organizations invest heavily to secure their tangible physical assets. Information-based assets require that same level of structural protection. Proactively reducing system errors and following these best practices directly lowers the probability of an attacker finding an exploitable vulnerability. This technical commitment has a direct business impact. Secure data management is the baseline for building and maintaining customer relationships. A major data breach destroys organizational trust, as customers will migrate away from platforms that cannot guarantee the safety of their information. In the modern economy, the integrity of an organization's brand identity is inseparable from the security of its data. Effective database security provides the architectural framework required to protect the functional existence of the entire enterprise.